Based on modern science, the existing productivity literature, and my experiments, here is the ultimate step-by-step guide to becoming hyperproductive regardless of your life circumstances. So this has 3 phases: awareness, optimization, and impact. Let's start with awareness, phase 1. First, you get a calendar, task manager, and your preferred note-taking tool ready. And then, for 15 minutes, write down all the things you must, can, should, want to, need to, ought to, all of these in your task manager. And write down in your note-taking tool if you have any ideas, thoughts, or negative self-talk, which you either need to remember or forget depending on who you are in terms of circumstance. So basically write down your inner voice. It's like whatever you think, just write it down there. In your task manager then, go through each task. Ask yourself, will there be too many unwanted consequences for me if I do not do this task at all? And if yes to the question, create the event in your calendar as a must-do when it has to occur, when you have to work on it. And if no to the question, move over to the next one. And going forward, whenever you have a thought that cannot get out of your head, write it in your calendar if you must do it and when, task manager if you might want to do it, and note-taking tool, could be paper or note-taking app if everything else. So at the end of phase 1, you're now completely aware of your commitments and life, but you need them to free up your time and energy. Which brings us to phase 2, optimization. So how do you optimize your time and energy? First, make sure you do not get disturbed by notifications. Create rules for when to check to avoid context switching. And then, this is the important part. Go through your current commitments, preferably in your calendar since they are, and ask, how can I eliminate 80% of them? Pareto's law states that 80% of your results come only from 20% of your activities. So, in other words, if you have 5 commitments, remove 4, gradually of course. So, with this enormous extra time, since you only do a fifth now, spend it relaxing. This will get back your energy, reduce stress, and prevent burnout. So you should do the Pareto exercise regularly to figure out what to actually work on, what is really important, and cut out everything else because you deserve to have the most important, the most attention. So that was your time and energy. How about your space and activities? You should keep your work and living spaces organized to the right amount. Not too organized, not too disorganized, but you should be able to do whatever you want to do, go to whatever you want, without needing to climb over stuff. So if you're stuck, you can simply clean or hide things to make it easier, less clutter. And the second one is asking yourself if you can make certain tasks easier. For instance, listening to an audiobook on your commute instead of carrying a heavy book. That's much easier. So after both the awareness phase and the optimization phase, you now have control of your time. Time to make a real impact, which is phase 3, impact. Every activity you do has 4 potential life stages, so they do not need to be all at once, but most of them go to at least, of course, the first one, but also the second, and a few of them reach third and fourth, very few. First one is explore, and it is when you do something completely new. Be very patient and figure out with trial and error what works. Forget about being productive here. Take your time. Second is optimize. When you've done this task a couple of times, ask the following 3 questions and act accordingly. 1. Are this task and outcome important at all? And if not a clear 100% yes, eliminate it. Second question is, how can I get rid of as many steps and inefficiencies as possible? And the third one is, what hinders you and me from going faster? Well, how can I solve it? Because the easier it gets, the faster it will become, not the other way around. Third phase. So the first one was explore, the other was optimize, and now we get to the third, which is automate. Because if a task is extremely step by step, you have optimized it to the point that it's just like going through a checklist. Chances are that IFTTT, Zapier, Make.com, and other automation tools can do it for you. And this is how you remove your time from the task. And 4, outsource. So after exploring, optimizing, automation, if you have the means, you should let other people do your work. So the goal is to automate and outsource as many of the remaining optimized tasks as possible, while you spend time exploring and developing yourself. So this creates a positive feedback loop with more impact and accomplishments done with no more time. You have the same time and energy, but it's just like growing and growing, and both from a horizontal and also from a vertical view, they all add up, and also a lot more for each hour and day and week and month. And at last, you might be able to buy Twitter too. Finally, seek feedback on your work and practice in public if possible. The more known you are, the more opportunities you will get. And do all these step by step to finally live a hyperproductive and enjoyable life.